Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Space Adventures Episode 13 commentary. I'm joined today by my good friend Harrison.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, good to have you with me.
It's very good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
We are today going to be talking over Episode 13 of Deep Space Adventures. I would say right off the bat, if you haven't watched all of Deep Space Adventures, I'd probably say stop the video here and go and check that out instead, because we'll be talking spoilers, we'll be talking behind the scenes stuff that probably won't make a lot of sense if you haven't seen the rest of the series. I'll put a link in the description to that playlist, so once you've watched that, come back here and check it out. I've been really looking forward to doing this for quite a while, Harry.
Me too. I think in terms of like just the production cycle, this is the episode which I think had like the most just raw work put into it. Particularly when it came to like set building and stuff. Like, it was an incredibly intensive project. So I can't wait to like rewatch it and just talk about it.
Yeah, me too. There will be a lot to discuss, even though it's a shorter episode than our last commentary track. I think we'll probably spend a little bit of time dissecting this. So, shall we get started?
Definitely. Before this video ends up being 3 hours long.
That was what we did with the last one, where it was like, oh yeah, I guess it'll be, a bit longer than the actual film, but it ended up being way longer.
Yeah, it ended up being a long video. All right. Let's second go.
Go for it.
Have the building surrounded. Leave now with your hands off.
So this is, of course, episode 12 footage.
Also, nicely reframed using the like a fake sort of camera thing.
Yeah,
and that's where your suits
to kind of hide that transition between
floating about 30 clicks off the shoulder of Orion. We still have no idea
first-person sections of the series and the third-person section.
Put you into stasis, a state of deep cryogenic sleep.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just going to pause real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this shot was a pain in the ass for us to shoot.
I don't remember why. What was it about this shot that was so difficult?
So, I think if we were doing this today, we would just superimpose in the image on like the TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
What we actually did, and when I say we, I mean what you actually did, was you made textures and put them on like the texture blocks in StarMade. So in StarMade you can have like the custom textures on blocks. And basically between every shot, we would like get rid of those 6 blocks and replace them while keeping your camera completely still.
I'd forgotten that we did use the animated custom textures in game to actually do that. Yeah, because I was just thinking like, well, it's a static shot. You could just key in that element. You could matte it in.
It would be incredibly easy. It would be so easy. Even if we just use a custom texture to put a literal green screen, it would have been so easy to do. But instead, we made it so much harder for ourselves by, every time we wanted to switch visual on screen, we would have to all get up from our seated positions, or we'd have like someone off screen who would get up and like change those blocks, put in a new set.
I'd completely forgotten about that. I mean, I do love that they are accurate to the sort of texture resolution of blocks in game, and I do love the fact that the animation is all done on like the 2 frames or however many frames of animation you can have. I think it turned out okay, but I'd completely forgotten about that part of the process.
I feel like if we had just keyed it in, I think it would look fine. But I think that with how it is presented here, with it being literally on the blocks, like animated, the art style is 100% like right. Like it looks so good. It looks like it belongs in that image.
Yeah, it's embedded in the scene. Oh, yeah. Sorry, this is a complete tangent, but I did realize that there might be people watching this that have just caught up with the series, and in case it's not clear, Harrison plays Harrison in the series. So
shock.
I should say,
spoiler: Dom plays Dom.
What? So sorry to kind of derail that bit of discussion, but I did suddenly think I should probably explain, other than just my wonderful friend, I should explain that you are
he's just this loser who's just rocked up. I play Harrison in Deep Space Adventures. That's a thing. That's certainly a thing that I do.
But more than that, you're a long-time collaborator and friend, and a very important part of the series. So, it's really nice to have you on to talk through these things. And officially, my long-term memory for a lot of this stuff, because as we made clear with the first point in this video, I forgot a lot about what we did to make these things happen.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at this image, and there's like a bunch of stuff which I remember when we came to actually produce this episode that we were super excited that we could actually have. So like the ability, like Harrison on the left hand side is actually sat down.
Yes.
For a very long time wasn't a feature. So that was like a really, really cool thing to have in the shots.
There was a lot of because Starmade was so heavily in development at the time that we were filming this series, there was a lot of stuff that got added or changed or modified during the course of the production of this episode. And I think sitting was something that got added fairly it was not long implemented before we shot this. No. So it was very exciting to be able to have a character sit down.
I remember there was a big discussion about how we should make chairs, because I remember for ages we just used like the wedge blocks to make things that looked vaguely like chairs. I remember at one point we're like, oh, maybe a square would be better because the character actually sits on top of the block, but it looked kind of weird, so we ended up sticking with just the wedge blocks.
The
other thing I really like with the shot is that like Sergeant Lag is holding like a clicker. For like the PowerPoint that he's showing. Like this weird PowerPoint that shows like Dom's head with like a 3D space thing behind it with like all these vital markers and stuff on it. He's just like, I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for you.
I do love that detail. Sergeant Lag does feel like somebody who would appreciate using a clicker.
Almost definitely, yeah.
The other thing I would say is if somebody can recognize what this image is directly spoofing off of, I would be very impressed. If there's any correct answers in the comment section, I will give you a medal emoji.
Nice. It's the greatest of treasures.
Right, shall we move on?
Oh, definitely.
Dom, it's been almost 2 years since you went missing from the Citadel. Your suit's UV protection had almost all burnt away. We hadn't found you when we did. Well...
Kablooey! My skin's being instantly vaporized by the sun's intense rays!
So that's the other intense rays line I referenced last time we did this commentary.
Right. Yes. Sorry, I just got... Okay, I've got one thing to talk about. The sound quality in this is incredible.
It's a big change from last time. I suppose we're mostly going to be talking over it here, but if you watch the actual episode 13, the mic quality is a million times better than it's ever been before.
Yeah, than it's ever been or probably is now. Like using my crappy like computer mic, like it's nowhere near like the level of setup that we had then. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the setup was?
Did we go over this at all in the last commentary? I suppose we wouldn't have, right? Because we didn't get to episode 13. So episode 13, the production of episode 13 was very, very different to any other episodes in Deep Space Adventures. And the biggest change was that most of the... Actually, all of the audio was recorded together. So it was all scripted out, and then we did a sort of marathon recording session all together. It was actually around Sergeant Lag's house, and we set up a kind of makeshift recording booth. It was very, very makeshift, but it worked in the end. In fact, it's the microphone I'm using now. I brought this.
Oh, wild!
I brought this microphone out of retirement, but I would guess that the audio in this would still sound better than my audio here because we did a lot of post-processing on it, and it was kind of the first time we'd ever done anything like that, and it was a fun challenge, and I think it definitely paid off because it is nice and clean in the final episode.
Without a doubt. But I thought like the way in which we made the makeshift recording studio, because we were basically recording in like a kitchen, it was like a very echoey room which didn't sound very good on the mic.
Lots of hard surfaces.
Lots of hard surfaces that were making things like super echoey and tinny. So we're like, okay, we need a way of like dampening the sound a little bit. So we ended up putting like a sheet up on the wall. Like we just like pinned like a sheet that had like hearts on it behind us, to kind of like muffle the wall a little bit, and then took like a duvet and put that on like a mic stand and used that right next to us to like be like a really big baffle. But it ended up working really, really well. Like it was just like whatever we had handy that we could just like put up. But it did such a good job. Like it did such a good job of dampening the sound and making it sound, well, kind of like semi-studio quality. Like it sounded really good.
Yeah, that really, when you're working with audio that you're going to then pair up with visuals that you're, you know, it's not like shooting something in person, right? These are characters in a game, but we want to capture audio that is as kind of without character as possible, just like the driest, cleanest audio, so that you can then add all of those effects back on. So like in a room that's huge, we want it to be have reverb, but if there's reverb already on the audio that you've recorded, that becomes very, very difficult to work with. So we wanted the kind of just the cleanest profile audio that we could get, so we could then add all of that stuff back on top. So it does sometimes feel a little bit kind of counterintuitive, but if you don't have that blank slate of an audio file to begin with, you run into trouble when you start trying to embed that sound into the world that you've created in the game.
Yeah. Exactly. And particularly like with like Matt's voice chip thing, like that was all done like afterwards. Like we just like sat Matt down, he just like read his lines normally. So his voice lines were in later on. And you know, scenes where like I think people like off screen and you can just hear people like talking in the background, it's very slightly reverb to make it sound like they're, you know, a bit further away, or like they're talking to like an echoey corridor.
Yeah, which we had done a little bit in like I think episodes 10 and onwards, but when you're not working with that high quality audio, it's tough to do that.
Exactly. I'm gonna hit play.
I don't think he's taking the news too well. Dom, are you following all this? Dom?
Yeah, sorry, I'm listening. I was just trying to work out how many of my own farts I breathed in over the course of the last 2 years.
Classic.
I sound like I got a bit of a cold
Persia's
there.
body was recovered by the Federation shortly after the incident. The final
I don't remember if you were sick or not when we were recording.
Resonated outwards from inside him. We don't know how, but it seems like that same blast also teleported both you and Harrison away from the Citadel unscathed.
Whether he meant to or not, Matt sacrificed himself to save us.
Oh, what? What a jerk. He just persuaded me to lend him the last of my credits to trick out his suit and speed up his LEDs. Oh, what a waste. And to think, I could have gotten a tiny bit of interest on those credits by now. I do love how much fun we were able to have with... in fact, do you mind just pausing for 1 sec? How much fun we were able to have with the scripted lines. It was something that we were always a bit worried about. How much would the dynamic of the show change if we went from the semi-scripted, semi-improv to the like fully scripted stuff that we see in episode 13 onwards. But there are some lines in this that I still think of today.
Yeah.
and you know, we're not writers. Spoilers, we're not writers, but I think some of the lines are some of the best lines in Deep Space Adventures are in these scripted ones.
Absolutely, like they're so like there's one that'll come up later on, revolving a dumpster. That is, I think, my favorite line.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'll point it out later on. Yeah, there's a lot of like really great writing quirks. Sorry, I got jumbled up there because of your line saying, "Oh yeah, Matt persuaded me to give him a bunch of money so he could trick out his body with LEDs." That's like such a okay, that sounds plausible. Like, it's like such a good line. Oh my god. Oh jeez.
I just suddenly thought, is this the first time the new skins and the new models are on display?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I really love these new models that they introduced in StarMade at this point. I think there's something very
fresh.
There's something very sort of nostalgic for the original models in StarMade, but these are like 10 times better. The animation is so good when you switch weapons or get into the seated position and stuff. And I had a lot of fun doing the textures for these. These are the textures that I'm most proud of, I think.
Yeah, they look really, really nice. Like the gradient of color looks fantastic. It looks really, really good. But I also feel like on these models the proportions are right.
Yeah. There's like no more giraffe neck characters.
Yeah, it looks far more humanoid. I really, really like the models from this point on. There's also a whole bunch of really nice animations for like putting on and taking off helmets and things.
Yeah.
They're just like things that really actually don't need to be there, but I'm so happy that they are.
Agreed. Yeah, they just really they're just nice touches that the game did really benefit from once they were introduced.
Definitely. I'm gonna hit play.
Good idea.
Oh no. Are you a ghost? Are you here to confront me with a morality tale? I know I ain't living right, but it's too late for me to change.
Oh my god, this is too good.
When Persia first came on board the Andromeda, he scheduled for his persona to be synced with the ship's onboard computer. Think of it as a backup of
Sergeant Exposition.
Persia. This means that even though his original body was lost, we still have a version of him on board the ship from the night before.
I'm also just going to pause for 1 second. I remember like the way that we had like talking, like quote unquote talking for this, was that all we did was just gently move our mouse up and down.
That's the classic sort of machinima trick.
Yeah, just have someone's upper body vaguely move a little bit. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be great.
Something we definitely did mention in the previous commentary track was that there was a brief period of time where you could animate between multiple frames, like multiple textures on a character. That was completely gone by this point. I think when they rejigged the character models, that was gone. So that wasn't an option, but I kind of wish there was a period of time where there was overlap there, because that would have been ideal for this to really sell the talking. But I think the moving the mouse works fine.
Yeah, moving the mouse is fine. But having that as well would have just been like, magnificent. And so good.
Everything went.
After the sergeant picked me up, and while we were searching for you, I found this backup and replaced the Andromeda's old AI with his. It's just temporary until we find him a replacement body.
Yeah, well, I knew all that, and I was definitely just joking about all that ghost stuff. So Matt, how does it feel to not have a body?
I love it. I can control almost every system on the ship. Watch this. It's disco time.
Matt, please, my eyes! Don't you remember what happened last time?
I can't hear you. I'm too busy dancing. Oh, and Sergeant, there's ice cubes all over the floor of the canteen.
Why the Space Devil are there ice cubes on the floor of the canteen?
Well, I turned in all the ice dispensers just to see if I could. Turns out I could.
One of the best lines of the series.
I remember just basically wanting to play with the idea that if you suddenly had like control, if your consciousness had been placed inside a ship as massive as the Andromeda, but you were also part of this silly ragtag group, you probably would just find doing things like that endlessly amusing. So
very much so.
That was definitely, from my point of view, I would be turning on the ice dispensers just to see if I had access to
I like the idea that Matt, the ship AI, is like a way more mundane evil of like the HAL 9000.
Yeah.
It's like a really, really mundane version of just like, I turned on the ice dispensers. It's like pushing the boundaries of what he's capable of.
I'd like a cool soft drink, please. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid you can't do that.
Oh, so good. So good.
It's good to be home. First use of the title sequence.
That's true. That's true.
I spent an embarrassingly long time. You might want to pause it here, actually, on this shot.
You better believe it.
I spent an embarrassingly long time making that logo. I wanted it to look exactly in a very distinct style. Someday we should do one of these where I know we mentioned this last time, but we should do one of these where we look through like material relating to Deep Space Adventures, like old scripts or old textures or like working files, because my document, my Illustrator file that is the one that is associated with that logo is just like full of iterations after iterations, and like 90% of them just being trash, but then like finally hitting one that I was happy with and just working on that from there.
It is, because I've seen it, and it's like a page of just like 50 different versions of that image, just in various different formats and different color, color setups. And, it's amazing, like seeing like the creative process where you're going through different ideas and just be like, no, I'm going to try out this entirely different thing.
This set, I am so proud of this. I know it's like such a small scale, especially compared to like the Citadel stuff we saw last time. But I still love this little space.
This is my favorite shot. Like of all of Deep Space Adventures, it's my favorite one because it's just like the one with the most flavor to it.
Yeah.
You've got like the Blade Runner like thing in the background.
Yeah,
like,
the big billboard.
Pillars.
Yeah.
You've got the Blumps poster on like the purple building. The breakfast lumps. With like the really teeny tiny cute little mascot saying like, "Buy breakfast lumps."
We that's another one of those things that we should pull up and see like full screen at sometime, and we can delve into some of the little Easter eggs that hide in the textures, because all of this stuff is so small in the final thing, but there is so much love poured into each of these elements. They deserve to be seen, I think.
Definitely. And the like the wanted poster on the bridge.
Yeah.
It's so great because it implies that the crew are like, they're wanted criminals at this point. Like they are, and they're not just like petty criminals. It's like, no, these guys are like seriously wanted.
Yeah, the Federation are serious enough about them being captured that they would bother to put a wanted poster up on this like clearly like not. This isn't like a federal hub. This is like out in the middle of nowhere, presumably. And yeah, they're still bothered enough that a group of people have essentially commandeered like one of the flagships.
Also, the robot shop, the thing in the window is just incredible. It's probably not super visible in the shop, but it says on it like, "We've got the best stolen robots in town." Then underneath it's like, "Unless you're a cop." So good. Such a good line.
That'll definitely protect them against any potential repercussions, I'm sure.
Definitely. Just say, I'm not doing anything illegal, bro. It'll hold up in court, trust me. Don't trust me, it's not legal advice.
Disclaimer: nothing that is discussed here in this commentary track is or should be considered as legal advice.
Oh, but seriously, there's so much love put into this shot. It's so good. Like the gross overpass, like the bridge with like all the posters and like graffiti.
Yeah, the fly posting. Yeah.
Oh, so good. Like it's captured so well as being like a bit of a seedy like suburb of like a larger city.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
Let's continue on.
Definitely.
Dom, do you enjoy being stabbed? Because this seems like a surefire way to get stabbed.
Chill out, Harrison. Matt is going to need a new body, right? And we don't exactly have the cash to blow on a schmancy new Leetco model. So
I feel like
this
one
is
of
the
us
ideal
uses
place to
the
snag
because this
ourselves
feels
a
like an ideal way to get stabbed line at least once a month in conversation.
Yeah, it's one of those lines where it's had such an impact on us that we use it all the time. Like if we're like playing games or we're just like hanging out, it'll be one of those things where we will just say it.
Something's a vaguely bad idea. It ends up being that line comes out of retirement to be used.
We dust it off every time without fail.
I just remembered the little dojo patch on the arm there. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. I like the idea that you've got dojo branded jumpsuits.
Like it's embroidered or whatever the equivalent would be in the Deep Space Adventures universe.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Besides, I used to shop at a place just like this back on Earth. It might look a little rough, but I bet the proprietor of this fine establishment has a heart of gold.
Did that thing just pull the other thing's arm?
Who did that?
sound.
Who did that sound effect?
It was me. I do a lot of voice lines in this episode.
We're like going through the script and we're like, okay, there's like 17 other characters that are going to need voices in this outside of the main crew, and Harry's like, I'll do them.
And I won't even voice that, it'll just be my voice.
No.
It's up to you to change it.
Hey Harry, would you like to do any voices? Let us know which ones you want. Yes.
Yeah, just all
Yes.
of them, please. Perfect. So good.
Thumbs up.
Never
We're
mind that.
professional.
And hey, those things have names. They're flembins, and they're delicate souls. Try to be a little bit more culturally sensitive. Let's just get in and out as quick as possible, and try not to stare.
Love the robot shop. Love it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of those robot skins.
Hello, Mr. Shopkeeper, sir. I'd like to take a look at some of your fine...
I think I know what you paused for.
What did I pause for, Tom?
There is an audio editing mistake there, which is the funniest thing ever for us. I don't know whether anyone else would find it as amusing, but I messed up the audio editing there, and there is like literally a half, or like, what would you say, like a millisecond of audio that came from, I guess, this line read. And it's just like a little of Harrison doing the alien voice for the shopkeeper that somehow just like remained on that transition. I don't know where it came from. I have no recollection of like, you know, what actually led up to the events of that edit slipping through the net. But if you listen to that, the shot where it goes from like the shot reverse shot to this one we have on screen here, you can just hear the alien go.
It's like this very small little sound. But I seriously, I have no idea where it would have come from, because when we were recording, we would be sat across from each other, and one person would be reading, just doing like a table read.
Yeah.
And we'll say, we'll set the scene and then, read a line for you to react to.
Yeah, they're not mic'd up, but they are there for the to reply with the response line.
Right. But what I don't get is this is like the first line of the setting. So it's not like we were building up anything, unless we were doing like a scene description. I don't know where the little sound would have come from.
It's very distinctly this shopkeeper's voice. It's like you
Yes.
doing the shopkeeper voice. So I reckon rather than it being like it's at the beginning of the audio before you said that, I think it's like just snipped out of some part of the shopkeep's dialogue and somehow just like it on accident ended up there. Like I meant to trim it away, or I meant to move an audio track around on the timeline, and somehow just like the tiniest little fragment of it remained unchecked.
But I love that it's there. It's like such a silly little like audio error, and I wouldn't have it any other.
If you're gonna have
It's
an audio
fantastic.
error, it's not a bad one to have. Let's just say he's doing a little burp or something to himself.
Yeah.
Fine wares. Your robots, to be precise. Sorry? I didn't quite catch that.
He's speaking Exodorian.
Well, what did he say?
Okay, let me see what I can do. Bahaba gobble. Gobble.
I'm just pausing for one moment for two reasons. One, when I was doing this voice line, I was just like, oh, I'm just going to try and sound like how the Sims sound.
Yeah, Simlish.
Yeah, just speaking Simlish. And second of all, I don't think I've ever noticed the posters behind the counter.
Yeah.
They're really, really nice. I like those a lot. Really, really great little posters.
For their privacy, I won't go into like specifics, but they are sort of thank yous for people that made this episode possible.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
I can tell you off mic.
Nice.
Hemble, Flingit, Gafloob, Crumbit.
Harrison!
Driving a hard bargain, huh?
Yeah, I like that line a lot. Driving a hard bargain, huh?
Just like the
gone
confidence
back.
behind it.
Couldn't have been me.
You get to see the posters a little bit more clearly.
Well, when I
here.
say aced, I mean, hey, where are you going?
Come on, I just had an idea.
Oh,
This is my favorite line.
I remember this one. Yeah.
Also, this camera shot is fantastic.
I don't remember how we managed to do this. Did we like
No.
pull out the wall behind the dumpster or something? Yeah. Maybe there wasn't. Oh, I guess I think the camera was in like build mode, so it no longer had collision.
That's what I was literally just going to say. I think, we had like... So remember when we were using... For the most time, we either use like a person as just like a camera, or we use like a ship core.
Yeah. But both of those things would have had collision here, so I guess it would have had to have been like
a core with build mode.
Correct. Yeah.
It's very good.
I like your thinking. We find some irresponsibly tossed out paperwork, commit identity fraud, spend all his credits off-world, forcing him into bankruptcy, and then, when he's on his knees, we buy the shop from under him for a fraction of the cost.
What? No, I'm just looking to see if he tossed out any older models of robot. Here we go. Jackpot. I bet between all of this, there's plenty of parts to build a new robot body for Matt. Message the Andromeda and get the dojo warmed up. We've got ourselves a good one.
And
Fantastic.
scene.
Very, very
This
good.
is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Sarge, how much do we have
There are
left to
lots
do?
of bits in this scene
Well,
that I
I'd
love.
say-
A lot
Yeah.
of Sergeant Lag's lines in this sequence are perfect. Chef kiss.
Fried gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's a little ribbity in here, huh? Little
Huh.
weird there,
I
huh?
don't know what you could possibly mean.
No idea. Also, love the vending machine.
Thank
Love
you.
the vending machine. I love the Metal Gear like boxes in the background. The orange boxes.
They would. We couldn't have cardboard boxes and not have them be references to one of our favorite.
Yeah,
series.
exactly. That's fantastic. Really, really good. I just like the fact that it's called Big Box. Kept you waiting.
Worst delivery company ever. When their slogan is "Kept you waiting."
We're coming for you, UPS. We're coming for you.
At least 3 to 4 more hours, but we could bring that down to at most 30 seconds with a quick montage sequence.
Oh, yeah.
Brilliant.
The mid-end freeze frame is funny to me.
So perfect.
I remember this being hard to like set up some kind of action that looked like they were doing something when all we could do is have their heads move up and down. Like,
Yeah, but the limit of us just like vaguely vibrating was difficult to get right.
another Dom being asleep joke as well.
Yeah.
And finally, connect up the gimbal release. And there we go.
Also, just pausing again for one moment, I love the fact that the soundtrack used for that montage is like an instrumental, like actually put together version of the original montage music, which is just you going like
So
just like
Yeah.
making sounds to your mouth.
I suppose that there will be people that, because sadly that montage doesn't make the cut in the movie. It's
doesn't,
one of the
no.
things I'm most sad that I couldn't make sense in that edit. So for people that don't know, in the original version of, is it episode 8?
Either 7 or 8. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, one of those two. There is another montage sequence, and in that montage sequence, I do like an a cappella version of that song. I don't even know why that was chosen to be the way that the music would be played. It was quite clearly me just making mouth noises, but I think that was very.
But it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
It captured that energy so perfectly.
But here we get a second montage sequence with a real instrumental version of that track. It was nice to finally make that a real song too.
Very much so. I feel it sounds like incredible. Like it's a high energy montage thing.
Quite different from the rest of the soundtrack.
Yes, very much so. Like very distinctly different. Where the rest of stuff is kind of just like somber, like scene setting background music. That's just like so high energy.
Yeah.
Love it. It's fantastic. Also, I love the thing on Sergeant Leg's shoulder, like the chevrons on his shoulder.
Some kind of insignia, some kind of rank.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
suppose
I
it's
like
probably sergeant.
Shocker. Oh.
Hmm.
Here we go.
Wow, the voice.
It's amazing. It's almost like it sounds like me or something. Holy crap. Wait.
No,
Harry-
that doesn't sound right.
Harry does a heckin' voice act.
That's the subtitle for Deep Space Adventure.
Voice chip is working great, Sergeant. And he looks so happy.
It almost sounded like it screamed.
Nonsense. It's just warming up. A robot is a lot like an old house. First it's got to warm up, and while it's warming up, it's going to make a few creaky, groaning, wailing noises.
I think
I
that
don't know anything
line.
about robotics, but
I'm pretty
that makes a lot
confident
of
in
sense.
saying that line came from personal experience of somebody saying something along that line.
Yeah, almost definitely. Like someone
like-
kind of just like blocking things.
Yeah. Like, oh, why does the car sound like this? Oh, old cars make noises, which is probably true. But the idea that Sergeant Lag equates a robot screaming in agony to a house kind of settling in is very funny.
It works really well. Like I've come across that firsthand now. Like with a car, like my grandparents' car has like a bit of metal in it that is a little bit loose. But as the engine heats up, it will like heat up and expand and will be fit perfectly.
Yeah.
So when the car's first started up, it rattles, which sounds nightmarish. But after like 5 minutes, it's fine. And like mechanics have looked at it and gone, yeah, it's actually mechanically it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like
It's
it
gonna
sounds
rattle.
bad.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that it's gonna do.
sense, I think.
It's like an old robot.
This will make for a great new body for Matt.
Every moment I'm around you, it is agony.
See, I was convinced
continuing the trend of every
barometer
character that they
went to the
encounter
digestive
thinking they are
capacitor before
definitely
the
idiots.
prefixal fluid would discharge.
Yeah.
I would have thought it'd be self-lubricating.
What?
Oh, ho, ho, you youngsters. Back in training, they taught us that all it ever takes is a little bit of elbow grease. Speaking of which, a little dab of elbow grease should be the last step.
Grossest moment in the series coming up.
Brings me great anguish.
Sarge, I think we're all out of elbow grease.
I'm pretty sure that's not even a real thing.
Then we'll skip a step and go straight onto the Spitshine
Oh yeah, here we go.
instead.
No.
Oh, I hate this.
What did you guys just do? I was chatting with a friendly waste disposal unit up on the bridge, and there was a huge power surge from down here in the workshop.
Matt, we were just finishing up your replacement body when it suddenly started freaking out and ran off.
I'm really moving throughout the blue floor, near the old officers' quarters.
Okay,
Do you mind
let's go.
pausing for one sec?
Maybe we can trap in one of the rooms.
Yes.
I like the idea. Persia has a line saying, I was chatting with a friendly waste disposal unit. I like the idea that the implication in this universe is that basically every kind of AI that is integrated in some kind of system has got a personality, or maybe it's kind of just like mimicking some kind of personality, but I don't know, there's
Yeah.
just something sweet about that idea.
I like that. I like the idea that it's either that Matt, because he's a robot, he can talk to machines, or that machines are, they have humanoid personalities,
Yeah.
like the toaster in Red Dwarf.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like also that it leaves it open to interpretation, that you can just
Exactly.
it's-
It's kind of a throwaway. It's not a focus, but worth considering.
world building. Big world building plan. The mystery of the waste disposal units. Gonna get the community together to uncover what it means.
I mean, we are about to see. I mean, later in the episode, we do the waste disposal is quite
Oh, it's
pivotal,
true.
actually.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, but it is Matt's voice on it. Hang on. Does that mean that Matt's just like talking to himself?
There we go. It's all unraveling now.
Solved.
Can I use this downtime to ask why no one thought to come to me, the robot, for help building a new robot body for me, the robot?
Yeah, well, when you put it that way, it does sound pretty stupid.
I just thought it'd be a nice surprise for you, Matt.
Would you be grateful if I found an old pair of heavily used pants in the dumpster and forced you to wear them?
Okay, point taken.
Heavily
Also-
used pants. Sorry, I just wanted to say it.
Yeah. Heavily used pants, heinous. Second of all, new Andromeda corridors.
Yeah, never before seen corridors, right?
Yeah, never before seen corridors that never get used again.
Yeah.
Like, we rebuilt the entirety of the inside of the Andromeda for this thing and then basically just use it for this one shot. But it's one of those really weird things where I remember when you were editing this together that the length of this dialogue just happened to line up perfectly with walking down this corridor. Like, it just was so perfect. It's one of those things where you didn't have to do any, like, behind-the-scenes magic with it. It was just so perfectly lined up.
I was expecting that there would be some need for like chopping, not like lines, but like the pace of the delivery would have to be edited. But yeah, I think it was just like slap it down. It was spot on.
Yeah, definitely. I'm annoyed at myself in this shot because because obviously we a lot of the time we weren't necessarily playing as our characters at this point, but at this point I was. But when I was talking, I just kind of was like talking, quote unquote, like I would normally do when I was stationary. So I just kind of like just vaguely shaking my mouse around. So it means that my character ends up walking all over the place rather than just having the head bobbing up and down. And I hate it. Every time I see it, I hate it so much.
This shot did take us quite a few times. And I would also say that it wasn't all, down to things like that, because at this period of time, I think especially on the server that we were using, there would often be sort of like micro desync between characters like locked into ships and other characters. So there was like some popping in the movement that was completely sort of unavoidable. But I think we did quite a number of attempts here, and I don't think it looks bad. I don't think I've never really noticed your movement being more sporadic, but I definitely do notice the slight little like, oh, there's a tiny bit of server desync pops that you get from this.
From playing multiplayer. Yeah. I remember the way that we got the camera to work was that it was a model. It was like a character model that was just like slowly walking backwards.
Right? Yeah.
And the way that we did it is that I think it was either, so I think Matt was playing as you, Dom. Like,
correct. I remember that. Yeah.
But you were like the camera. And as you're walking backwards, I'd say turn.
Yeah.
So like time you so that you can turn correctly in line with the corridor.
Yeah, because of course we weren't able to see where if you imagine that the camera here is a person's vision, it's attached to a player character. They can't see where the turn is, but they need to anticipate the turn to keep the characters in frame. So some collaboration, some coordination was necessary to get the shot.
And it really helped that we'd already recorded our lines at this point, so we were just backing up. Like, lines were all done, so we were just shooting at this point. So we weren't actually needing to say our lines at this point because we'd already said them. So we were just shooting the shot. So it was much easier to coordinate it.
That would have been one too many plates to keep spinning for this shot. I think it was nice to be able to just focus on what we were capturing in the frame rather than having to actually act or deliver lines as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Why is it acting weird anyway? It was just a shell. It didn't even have an AI chip. It shouldn't even be able to move, let alone talk.
Going back through the old surveillance footage of the workshop, for some reason Sergeant Lag kept spitting into the open circuitry of the robot while working on it. This is a long shot, but I think maybe his DNA fused with the robot and created a sentient life form.
What the hell? Why was he spitting in it so much?
He did keep talking about his old spit shine. Maybe he thought it would help with the build?
Guys, my scanner's picking something up. It's coming from the jail cells. Come on.
I also love the idea that Sergeant Lag was just repeatedly spitting into the robot. Like multiple times. Not just the one time that we see in the thing. But he's just like, gonna get this really shiny. Just like getting a nice finished product. I find that so gross, but so funny.
He's definitely got like big sort of like I'm working on a car in my garage vibes. Like I've got this old junk of a car and it's never run, but I'm constantly tinkering on it kind of energy.
Definitely. Also, another one of my favorite lines is just about to come up. Which
one you're referencing?
It's a line which I think Sergeant Lag, when they delivered it, when we were like making this line, he said it as like a joke line, but you were like, "Oh my god, that's so much better!" So we just like, so we just like ran with it, and it's so excellent. Good track.
I love this track. Sweet dreams are made of these.
There it is. Are we rushing in? Or are we going in sneaky peeky like?
There we go.
Holy hell, it's stolen someone's skin.
What? And it's learned to talk. It's a liability. Open fire, boy.
That doesn't even make sense. Like, I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly the right response. But I love that in Sergeant Lag's line of thinking, he's already acknowledged. Oh no, I suppose he was like unaware of the fact that it was speaking, right? But the idea that it's speaking is now reason to absolutely just like laser blast it. Yeah.
I remember when we were recording this because Sergeant Lag voices Jeff the Pirate.
Yes.
And I remember when we were like sitting him down to like do the Jeff voice. He was like, "I don't remember doing the Jeff the Pirate voice." I'm like, What do you mean? Like, it's basically just your voice. How can you not hear that? And he was just like, "Oh, I guess so. Okay." So we ended up just like trying to voice coach him into how to do a Jeff the Pirate voice, and it was basically just going, I'm Jeff the Pirate. Oh, like so we had to like coach him into going, like before he did any line.
I think he was just being coy. I think.
I think so. In hindsight, yeah. It's good. I like that this whole bit. It's
Yeah, me
fantastic.
too. It's good to see Jeff.
Excellent to see Jeff. Where is he?
I'm sure
Where
he's
is
around here
Jeff?
somewhere.
Boys.
Wait, Jeff?
Yeah, it's me, Jeff the Pirate.
Yeah, I know. But what are you doing here?
What do you mean? I've been stuck in here ever since you guys beat me up and chucked me in here. You know, when you broke out of the jail.
Oh, I remember now.
Jeez, Matt, why didn't you tell me Jeff was still in here?
You didn't ask.
Jeff, look.
Perfect reply.
I'm really sorry.
Perfect reply.
Can you unlock so on, please?
Unlocking now.
Classic.
How did you even survive? It's been years.
Well, it was easy, really. I still knew the access codes for the food dispensers in here, so I've been living off an unlimited supply of ice cream. I've really adapted to life down here, actually. Got my own room, the Pirate King can't call me names. Ice cream.
Well, that's good news. The even better news is the Pirate King's dead.
We
And
should
with their
all
leader
aspire
gone,
to be
and
like
as soon as
Jeff,
rest
making the
pirates
best of a bad
disbanded-
situation.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
to make up for all this, why don't you come with us, and I'll set you up with a room in the main quarters.
Oh, well.
Sergeant
kind,
like
but
still got his
whatever
gun
you
trained on him.
Did I mention?
I never noticed that. That's really fun. It's like he's just waiting for an excuse to just waste Jeff. Just like any
Any
wrong step, he's
excuse,
just like light him up. He's going for the Ben and Jerry's wasted. Oh,
There's an unlimited supply of ice cream. I think I'll stay here. I'm Jeff the Pirate.
All right, Jeff. We accidentally created sentient life from some old robot parts we found in a dumpster, and now it's running loose on the ship, and we've got to stop it. We'll catch you around.
Oh, alright. Bye. I'm Jeff the Pirate.
brilliant.
Well, that was unexpected. Who'd have thought that one guy we only saw really briefly like 2 years ago would still be on board the Andromeda? I wonder if we'll see him again.
Oh, I don't know. What do you think? Wink.
How the hell am I supposed to know? Did you just say wink out loud?
Right, moving through that door, just across the hallway. I'm pretty
Brilliant.
sure that's your escaped robot friend.
I love that you can practically hear the italics on your
Yes, yeah.
like Matt's just like this is your issue. You need to fix this.
Yeah, you gotta clean this up.
Yeah.
Also, I like how in the previous line, I like how long we play it before we do the rotation. So like when Dom looks directly at the camera and says, "Oh, I don't know, what do you think, wink?" Obviously, like, it's presented as a fourth wall breaking moment. It's addressing the audience. But the camera just lingers on him for like 2 more beats before this camera swings around. And to me, it completely makes that reveal work of him just being like,
Yeah.
of Sergeant Like just being like, "I don't know, did you? Why are you asking me?"
It's such perfect comedic timing. It's fantastic. Really, really nicely done.
Halt, robot body thing. The jig is up. We've got you cornered.
Do it! Shoot me!
We don't really want to shoot you. We just want to stick our friend's consciousness into you.
Deep inside you, all invasive like.
I love that line. I love how close the camera gets to my face.
I feel
I
like
love-
you were close to the mic also. Like, it feels like you're talking right into our ears.
Yeah, I got real close to
Oh, no.
Yeah, I definitely did get close to the mic. Like, it's one of those things where I was like, "This is how I want this to be. This is how I want this line to be.
Camera
It's gonna
is-
be creepy. It's gonna be great."
The weird contrast between us seemingly not understanding why what we're presenting would not be a desirable like course of action, but also you clearly delivering it in the way that makes it the most unappealing possible is a bizarre combination.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just like the crew just being a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah. Continuing
So
the
good.
streak, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're luminous here. The Harrison character model is glowing.
extremely light there, like just reflecting so much light from the room. The studio lights are just too bright. Way too bright.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. Father, shoot me.
Father?
Yes, Father. How you three idiots created true artificial life is beyond.
Pause in just one moment. I love the effect of how it's like a TV screen on the helmet. That's a really, really nicely achieved effect.
It took kind of a while for us to get the effect to look right. Partly to do with how StarMade renders the interior of a helmet as well, because the interior of the helmet doesn't really exist. So yeah, it took a while, but I really think the effect worked. Especially like the layering of the cracked glass, the kind of CRT looking display, and then the elements that are displayed upon the screen.
Yeah, they look fantastic. Really, really excellent looking. It's one of those things that I think about a lot in terms of, oh yeah, this is like an effect that worked super well for Deep Space Adventures. Yeah, looks fantastic. Really, really good.
It's beyond me. But I beg of you, do something right for once in your lives. Kill me, please.
If you're in so much
Great
pain, then
read
why do you
there.
always look so happy?
Because your craftsmanship was so shoddy that it's the only emotion my screen can correctly display.
Oh, you silly little babby. It sounds to me like someone's got a little bit of windy pops.
Good track.
Trash compactor activated.
Matt, turn it off!
I can't, it's right at the controls.
During my short existence on this mortal coil, I've experienced the cosmic weight of the universe, the agony of 1,000 lifetimes. But worst of all, I felt the unimaginable anger at having to be around you three morons.
I love the slow push on that shot.
That's really good. I was just about to say the exact same thing. Like
Yeah.
the very slow zoom. It's so good.
It wasn't something that we were really able to do exactly as hoped, but it's got a little bit of the Jaws shot as well in there, like the kind of the foreshortening as well as the push forward on the camera.
Yeah, it's really, really nicely achieved. It's such a tense moment. Also, nice shot right here. Very nice shot.
Yeah, it's weirdly
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah, I wonder whether that'll come up in the future again.
Jeez, why didn't he just tell us how he really felt?
What do you think he meant when he said you three morons? Persian didn't even do anything. Surely he meant you two morons. Oh.
Great finisher.
There we go.
Brilliant.
That feels fun to watch through that again. I like the Deep Space Adventures movie was so fresh in my mind because I'd been editing it like moments before we did that last one, or days before, I suppose. Where it's been a while since I've actually watched this through in its entirety and had an opportunity to talk with you about it. You really reminded me of a lot of things that I'd forgotten about the process of this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I also haven't seen it in ages. So there were a couple of lines that when I started hearing them, I was like, "Oh, that's a good line." I actually completely forgot about the deep inside you, all invasive like line. Like that, it's such a heinous line, but it's perfect. Really, really nice.
Yeah, so I think in sort of summary for episode 13, I really I think back on the production of this one very fondly. It was a lot of hard work, but to me, this is kind of, in terms of format, like the golden episode. Yeah, and it was a real treat to get a chance to sit down and talk shop with you on this one.
Definitely. I think in terms of just the sheer amount of work that went into it, this is one that's had the most set building, the most like behind the scenes stuff going on. Particularly with just like experimenting with like cinematography and using a more professional way of voice acting, like a more professional technique.
Yes.
I feel it's created such a high quality product that took a very, very long time for us to get together and work on it.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, I mean, it's been said before, but it's worth saying anytime the opportunity comes up that everybody who has been involved in the production of this series, their work is so appreciated, because there are members. I mean, it's wonderful, Harry, to have you on, but there are other members of the team who, you know, aren't. They don't come on and do things like this, and their work is so appreciated, and they are such
Very
important
much so,
parts of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the amount of work, because like particularly Matt, the amount of set building that he did was astonishing. I'm terrible at set building. I'm really, really bad at it. It's something that I find very difficult to like get my thoughts out onto paper. I really struggle with that. I think the only thing I really built in this or did any design for was some of the tower blocks in the background of the city shot. I basically didn't work on anything else in that shot except for those tower blocks, because I was trying to go for like a 1970s sort of like concrete tower sort of look. But yeah, like the sheer amount of work that went into this episode was astonishing, and I feel like it really shows. Like, it looks fantastic. It's like one of those things that I'm extremely proud to have been a part of.
Yes, me too.
It's one of those things that I always link to my friends when I mention it. And it's great. It's such an important thing to me. This episode, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, we close it out with this episode is dedicated to all the fans. I think really, you know, it'd been a long time since the previous chunk of the series, and it was really the love that we'd seen from viewers for this series and this world and these characters that propelled us to do this one, because there were a lot of challenges to get there, but yeah, I really thank that everybody who stuck around and checked this out and hopefully enjoyed it, and everyone that's watching this commentary now. I think there'll probably be some new people that are just catching up, but I think there'll be plenty of people who have been fans of the series since way back in the day. I hope this has been interesting. I hope it's been fun. Stay tuned for more Deep Space Adventures stuff. Yeah. I don't think we'll have any more commentaries for a little while, because the new stuff is too new. We'd be treading on the toes of the story, I think. But if we do another one, I would love to go through some of the custom textures and some of the kind of the documents of Deep Space Adventures at some point.
Like the much more like getting into the guts of it. Yeah, I'd like that a lot. That'd be really, really good fun.
All right, we should probably wrap up here. Harrison, thank you so much. It's always a treat to chat.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very, very much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Good
Always
stuff.
a pleasure to talk about.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.